Today I'm showing you a realistic day of sourdough baking with practical tips on how to fit it into your routine, even if you're a busy mom like me. Whether you stay home or work outside the house, this video is here to help you bake sourdough bread without letting it take over your day. First tip is to utilize nap times and bedtimes. I always start my bread during naps. It's the quietest part of the day. If you work outside the home, you can start your dough after the kids go to bed, do a few stretch and folds before you head to sleep, then let it rise overnight. In the morning, you can either shape it or pop it in the fridge if you're tight on time. I actually have a blog post with sample sourdough schedules for stay-at-home moms, working moms, and even a weekend-only option. I'll link that down below for you. Once I get the doughs going, I went straight back into my day, cleaning, cooking, picking up toys. Whenever I walk by the kitchen, I just do the stretch and folds here and there. I don't let sourdough control my schedule. If someone texts me and says, "Hey, you want to hang out?" I'll skip the stretch and folds and shape the dough, and I always get edible loaves. And that's the thing. I think that the internet and Reddit forums and all of that, these are all the things that I was on when I first started baking sourdough. They make it seem like you have to be in your house all day, and if you miss stretch and fold, then the whole loaf is messed up, and if you don't catch your starter at peak rise, then you can't bake. And it's like, no, none of that is true. You literally just fit it into your day. My next tip is to use your fridge. It is going to be your best friend. I kind of already mentioned this briefly, but the fridge is the most underrated sourdough tool. If your timing's a bit off, the fridge just slows everything down, and your dough will be perfect in the fridge and ready for you whenever you get back to it. My next tip is to batch prep your sourdough. Today, I wasn't just making the traditional sourdough boule that you think of when you think of sourdough bread. I also made my soft sourdough sandwich bread. Both recipes are on goodenoughmomming.com. I'll have them linked down below for you. But batch prepping your sourdough bakes means you get all of the mess and effort out of the way in one day. Mix both doughs, stagger the stretch and folds, and knock out a week's worth of bread. I will say that the sourdough sandwich bread is even better if you're a working mom, because you can just knead it, put it in the stand mixer, let it knead for like 10-15 minutes. You can go shower, get yourself ready, or get the kids ready, turn off the mixer, cover it, and then it's good all day. I find that sourdough sandwich breads are less likely to over ferment because they're at a lower hydration. That got technical. Don't really worry about that if you're new to sourdough baking. Just know that a sandwich bread is going to be better for you if you're going to be out of the house. After I got the doughs going, I just went back to my life. I had some cleaning to do, so that's what we did. And hopefully at this point you can see that there's really not a lot of hands-on time with sourdough baking. And you don't have to be so rigid with the timing. On my sourdough schedule blog post, I do have timestamps, and that can just help you when you're new to baking, kind of get an idea of what the flow looks like and how long it's going to take. However, once you get it down, you really learn that it's very flexible. You don't do a stretch and fold, it's fine. You missed one, it's fine. In my sourdough recipe, I call for a stretch and fold every hour during the bulk ferment. That would have you in your house for 8 hours. And that's just ridiculous if you're a busy mom. That is for best results. But if you're just looking to make delicious bread for your family, don't worry about it. Do 3-4 stretch and folds and go about your business. The loaf I just showed you actually isn't sourdough. That is just a basic yeast dough. It's very versatile. You can use it to make French bread. You can use it to make sandwich bread, cinnamon rolls. It's like Wonder Bread. It is wonderful. So if you're looking for kind of a bridge between sourdough because your family maybe doesn't like the taste or you don't want that crusty loaf, this is a perfect bread recipe for you. Don't get hung up on all of the sourdough terms and all the things you need to learn about baking sourdough bread. I know it can feel overwhelming at first. There's this whole secret language around baking literal bread, but most of the terms are just fancy ways of saying something really simple. For example, if you hear the term autolyse, that's literally just mixing flour and water and letting it sit for a bit. That's it. It simply helps the dough hydrate and makes it easier to work with later. You're really not doing anything special there. Or bulk fermentation. That literally just means you're letting the dough rise. It sounds scientific, but it's really not. Even things like stretch and folds can sound intense, but they're just quick little motions that you do throughout the day. Once you realize that most of these steps are easy and don't require your full attention, sourdough gets way less intimidating, and you realize you can totally work it into your life. And you'll learn all of these things along the way. I do have a blog post on sourdough terms that breaks all of these complicated terms down for you if you're interested in that as well. Alright, so you just saw me attempting to get this child down for a nap. He totally refused it. He was not having it. So I popped him in the carrier. I did another stretch and fold of the dough, and I started on dinner. Tonight I made papusas. I've made these before on my channel, but they're basically thick tortillas stuffed with cheese. And in this case, I also made some beef to go along with it. I seasoned the beef with garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, chili powder, salt, pepper, lime juice, and cilantro. And I just threw that in the Instant Pot from Frozen. If you've ever watched any of my YouTube videos, you know I love to use my Instant Pot when I had poor planning. And then I also made a quick slaw with some sauerkraut, shredded carrots, and onions. My camera died when I was filming this, but I used my phone to film what the final dinner looked like. While I'm making dinner, I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself a little bit more here. My name is Charlene. I am a stay-at-home mom to a sweet 9-month-old, and I am married to my best friend, Terry. We've been together since I was 16 years old, and life nowadays are full of baby snuggles, dishes, laundry piles, and figuring out how to get real whole foods on the table. I started this YouTube channel because I felt like there's this pressure out there for moms to do everything perfectly. Perfect home, perfect meals, perfect routine, but real life is unpredictable and it can be a bit messy. And I just wanted to remind you that it is okay to show up imperfectly. To me, motherhood and life in general is not about perfection. It's about showing up. It's about grace and creativity and figuring it out as you go. I hope this channel becomes a space where you feel encouraged and equipped, not pressured to perform. And just remember, I only have one baby. He is a little baby. I can do all of the things that you see me do in this video. If you're here trying to build a rhythm that works for you and your family, even if it looks different than what I do here, that's the heart of this space. You belong here. So please don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying this content. I also wanted to mention, I can do all of the things that you see me do in this video because of that. If you have multiple children or you work full time, please don't feel like you're not doing enough. That is not the intention of this at all. Just remember that we all are in different seasons of our lives, and hopefully you can take the parts of these videos that apply to your life and ignore the rest. After dinner, I completely forgot about the dough until bedtime, and I literally had to get out of bed. I was like, oh crap. And you know what I did? Pop the bowls in the fridge with the towel over them. They were fine in the fridge, like I said. So if this happens to you, if say you're at the end of your bulk ferment and a friend is like, hey, want to go grab coffee? Or you're at the end of the bulk ferment and you got to go pick up your kids and you don't want the dough to over ferment, throw her in the fridge. And then whenever you get back to it, shape it. You can put it back in the fridge to do a cold proof, or you can bake it right away. Either one works. And that leads me right into my last tip. is don't stress about the timing. This is a big one that I think people get caught up with when they first start sourdough baking. If you can see in this video, I didn't even start by saying feed your starter. At some point the day before, I had fed my starter. As long as it's fed within the last 24 hours, and honestly, sometimes I will use it straight from the fridge. I will use it unfed. It's fine. I have a 9-month-old, okay? I almost never catch my sourdough starter at its peak. Same goes for the dough. If I miss a stretch and fold or I can't follow the perfect timing, I don't stress. I just fit it in where I can. So I went ahead and shaped the dough and allowed them to proof at room temperature. And then I went back into getting things done. This is the next day, so I needed to do the floors. I needed to wipe down some counters. Will I get the most perfect loaves in the world? No. But it will be fresh, delicious, homemade bread that isn't chocked full of additives and preservatives. I don't know if you guys have noticed that when you buy bread from the store, it doesn't mold. I found a loaf of bread that I don't even know when I bought this loaf of bread. I haven't bought store-bought bread in so long. No mold. No, I was actually shocked. I was like, what in the world? But if you leave your sourdough bread on the counter, after about 5 to 6 days, you're going to see mold. And that, to me, is a sign that we really have to look into what we're putting in our bodies and feeding our children. Because why didn't that bread mold? That's kind of crazy. I also went ahead and fermented some peppers while I was in the kitchen. I had a few extras from this week, so I tossed them in a jar with some salt and water. This is an easy way to reduce waste, and it also has healthy probiotics, making it a gut-healthy snack. My baby is obsessed with these things. He loves them. He will just tear these things up. And I don't only ferment peppers, I ferment green beans. I ferment basically anything because it improves the digestibility of the food. It boosts gut health. It naturally preserves the food. It enhances the nutrient absorption. You have got to incorporate some fermented foods into your diet. When I was in college, I drank a lot, okay? And that kind of ruined my gut health. And I think fermented foods have truly helped recover it a bit. I just wanted to remind you that your sourdough baking journey does not have to be perfect. Sourdough, just like motherhood, is full of unexpected moments, delays, and change of plans. And that's okay. You don't need an ideal kitchen setup or perfectly timed stretch and folds to make good bread. You just need a little patience, a little practice, and the willingness to try. What matters more than perfect loaves is the intention behind it. Feeding your family with care, creating something from scratch, and finding a rhythm that works for you and your life. Even if the dough sits a little too long, it gets a little over fermented, the crust burns, it still counts. This bread today did not come out perfect. It did not get the rise that I would like, and that's because I did a short room temperature second proof, but it's still good. So give yourself grace, let go of the pressure, and just give it a try. Unfortunately, these breads do not bake at the same temperature, so I had to bake the sourdough boule first, and then I baked the sandwich bread after that. It actually worked out for the sandwich bread because it had more time to proof, so I got a better rise on it, but they both turned out just fine. this video showed you that baking sourdough doesn't have to be perfect or time-consuming to work. It can truly fit into the cracks of your day, even with little ones home. If you're looking for more help getting started, I've linked all of the resources that I mentioned down below, including the sample sourdough schedule for stay-at-home moms, working moms, and even a weekend schedule. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my real-life sourdough routines, simple meals, or mom life content. And let me know in the comments what part of sourdough feels the most overwhelming to you. I'd love to help however I can.